Oh my God, this has been honestly one of the craziest preseasons I've ever seen. There's been players that before camp had injuries that we didn't really know about, and going into camp, now we're starting to get a little bit more information. There's players that in the preseason games are getting injured, in practice are getting injured. There's just been so many things that are happening. So this video, guys, I'm going to be breaking down all the injuries and the news that we know so far, the impact on players if someone's going to be injured for the start of the season, who's going to be taking over the top power play, who's going to be moved up in their spot, as well as players that we've seen so far now that training camp is underway that should be playing on top power play on better lines, given what we've seen so far in the camp. So this is going to be a really, really important video, guys. So make sure you watch it throughout, and hopefully you find some players that you're going to like drafting going into this season, and maybe some of the players that you've currently drafted. It's going to be a good video, guys. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. So let's just jump right into the injuries. I think I have like 3 or 4 slides on this, so it's going to be a little bit lengthy. The first injury, Drew Doughty, I think it was just last night, went hard into the boards, hurt his ankle. Right now, the current news is that it's a fracture. They initially thought it was going to be a broken ankle and a torn Achilles, which is very, very worrisome for Doughty. Now, given his age, it should take him a little bit longer to recover, and the outcome right now is going to be Brandt Clarke. That should likely be on the team's top power play unit. He should be manning maybe the second pair right now, but a huge boost to Brandt Clarke. Right now in drafts, we're seeing how early defensemen are going, especially in competitive leagues. So you're going to want to be finding these guys that are going later in drafts that have a ton of value. And Brandt Clarke is that, a 7th overall pick, and should be in line for a really, really good start to the season. Again, we don't know the full extent of Doughty's injury, but as it stands right now, I'm going to assume that Brandt Clarke is going to be taking the reins on that top power play unit in LA. That's actually very good. Artemi Panarin got hurt, and he was limping to the bench. He went down to the room, didn't come back. It looks like he is skating, but not fully practicing just yet. So it's a lower body injury. It seems to be day-to-day for Panarin. And for me right now, it has no impact on his draft stock. We saw him in the FPPL last night go round 2, pick 8 in a 12-team league. So this seems to be affecting his draft stock in terms of where he's going drafted right now. But I still think I would be taking him right at the start of the second round. Evander Kane, abdominal surgery, out 5 to 6 months, pretty much the whole season. I did initially think he was going to be a really good stash in your IR, but it does say he should be out for most, if not all, of the season. So this does give a pretty big boost to Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner, who should be in the top 6 now, solidified. Brad Marchand, 3 offseason surgeries. It looks to be ready for the start of the season. He practiced today with a no-contact jersey, so he looks to be starting to get in some of those line rushes, starting to get into some of those, scrimmage and some of the drills. I don't know if he's going to be playing preseason games right now, but for me, I do think this is going to cause some sort of decline for Marchand because he had 3 offseason surgeries. Now, the big news, Rasmus Dahlin, for those who drafted early, you may have been a little bit concerned, but it seems to be no panic right now. He had an undisclosed injury. We didn't really know any updates, but he's now a full participant in practice. He traveled to Munich now, and it looks to be playing on the top power play and sustaining his spot on the top pairing, which we knew exactly was going to happen. So no impact for Dahlin. Draft him in the second round, no questions asked. Erik Karlsson, back-to-back healthy seasons, but right now he seems to be day-to-day. He hasn't skated fully with the team yet, hasn't participated in any of the drills, any of the line rushes. So right now, we don't know if he's going to start the season healthy. They did say he may start the season, but we don't know for sure. And with this news, it's a big boost to Chris Letang, who's someone I actually like quite a bit in like the later rounds as defenseman 3 or defenseman 4 because his peripheral coverage is great. And he still managed to have 50 points last season, even though he wasn't on the top power play unit. So if Erik Karlsson's out for an extended period of time or he doesn't start the season healthy, or if he's battling with something, Letang should pay off huge value, maybe as a top 12 defenseman this season, where Erik Karlsson's draft stock is dropping quite a bit. We're seeing him go about round 9, round 8 right now in competitive leagues. So good value there if you can draft him. It's just a little bit worrisome. He may miss time, and I would be a little bit concerned to say like maybe 20 games this season. It's really, really hard to say at this point, but the injury status does not look very promising at this point. Austin Matthews is dealing with some sort of injury, lower body, UBI injury. He's currently day-to-day. I would say that has 0 impact on his draft stock. I still think that he's a very, very good pick in 3rd overall. You may see him fall to 4 or 5 now with this news, but he seems to be okay. He seems to be healthy. They're going to take it slow with him. He may not play another preseason game, but should be good for the home opener. Josh Norris, undisclosed injury. I really haven't seen anything on him. It's like he's practicing with the team, then he's not practicing with the team. But the most recent news is he is practicing with the team. Hopefully he starts to play in some of these preseason games. I do like him as a late round sleeper pick, but he should be ready for the start of the season. We should see him on the top power play unit, so it's a little bit interesting there, but definitely something to monitor. The big thing here with Sorokin and Demko, with Demko right now, this knee problem, it seems to be a long-term problem. Chris broke it down, players, the worst picks in every round. So for Demko right now, he seems to be okay, then he's lingering, and then he's okay, and then he's skating off the ice very gingerly. So with Demko right now, I'm pretty much going to be avoiding him in drafts. If he falls maybe to round 10, I would be a little bit interested, but like you might have to, he might be a guy that's going to be stashed in your IR. But Artur Silovs gets a huge boost here. He should be the starting goalie in Vancouver. We know they signed Kevin Lankinen as sort of a backup, which also concerns me a bit more about Demko. Now, if they run 3 goalies to start the season, I still think Silovs gets majority of the starts. He's going pretty much at the end of drafts right now, so it's a pretty good sleeper pick that late. With Sorokin, like, we don't fully know the extent, but he has not skated with the team yet, and it doesn't seem likely for him to open the season on the Islanders roster. He's probably going to start off the season injured, and with that, it's a boost to Ilya Varlamov. Or Semyon Varlamov. I got the Elias, but I'm just going to continue. With Varlamov here, I don't have a whole lot of interest, but he should be the starting goalie for the Islanders. So if you went full 0G, you can draft Semyon Varlamov very late in your drafts for potential upside. But the Sorokin injury is a little bit concerning. We're seeing him drop to about round 6, round 7, which could pay off huge value if he's healthy when he comes back. But for right now, it's probably going to be an avoid for me in drafts. Finally, the last 3, Elias Lindholm, currently an undisclosed injury. I did see they had the birth of their child, so maybe he will come back. That really has nothing to do with it, but it's still some positive news for Lindholm. He skated initially with the team and then has been out for the last little bit. They want to get him in preseason games, but we're not seeing that yet. I don't think there's a full update, and I'm still going to be drafting him as the sleeper that we had him for. If he's healthy, he's going to be top line, top power play, and there's a lot of love for me there for that guy. But I still think round 13 plus is where I take him. There's a little bit of risk, but I do like the upside now that he's falling a bit in drafts. And speaking of falling drafts, Matt Boldy's a great segue, a lower body injury week to week. He is expected back by the end of training camp and should start the season healthy. I still think he has a league-winning upside at round 7 plus right now. There's no impact to the draft stock for Boldy. If he falls, great. If he doesn't, definitely someone I'd still want to be drafting. And lastly, Luke Hughes. It was announced he was out 6 to 8 weeks, and that means he'll be back, they said October 24th to November 7th. So I'm just going to assume early November. Big boost to Dougie Hamilton here, who I think you should be taking about round 4 plus, depending on how early defensemen are going. But with Dougie Hamilton playing on the top power play, who actually is notorious for being an injured player, I still think he has great value now that he's going to be on the top power play unit, at least to begin the season. And then some of those minutes, I think Luke Hughes is around 20 minutes a night last season, should be going to Dougie Hamilton. So we could see a little slight boost in that 5-on-5 time as well as the power play time. So this is probably going to be the best part of the video. These are some of the lines and power play updates we've seen so far. So as training camp has rolled around, we're starting to see some of the line rushes on the top power play unit. The biggest one right now is the Florida top power play defenseman, and it looks to be Adam Boqvist at the time of recording. And then power play 2 is going to be Ekblad and Schmidt. So there was a lot of thought that Gustav Forsling would move up there, but right now he's not even skating on the second power play. So I think Ekblad's the next D-man up. Now it's Boqvist's spot to lose, which is possible, and he does have some injury history as well. So does Aaron Ekblad, so I still think I would be taking Ekblad, but a little bit later than he's currently going. And with Boqvist, he's definitely a late round defenseman target I want to be drafting round 12 plus. If you've already drafted, definitely a guy you want to be adding. Let me know in the comments about who you think you should be dropping for Boqvist, but he should be a priority in drafts. My only concern with Boqvist is that he has very poor peripherals. We saw what happened to Montour when he went to Florida from Buffalo, and when he got moved to the top power play unit, he was extremely good. But Montour came into Florida with a very decent peripherals as like a defenseman 3 and 4 in Buffalo, and a defenseman 3 in his first year in Florida. So this is a little bit interesting in Boqvist. I still think there's a little bit of risk that he will lose the spot, but for the early going, someone I want to be drafting. It looks like Shane Gostisbehere has taken over the top power play unit in Carolina. So Brent Burns not on the top power play unit anymore. It's going to be Gostisbehere. Very similar to Boquist, where Ghost Despair doesn't have strong peripherals, but he has really, really good point upside. So a lot to like from Ghost Despair. Around 11 plus in 12 team leagues is where I'd be targeting him. I already mentioned Dougie Hamilton, but I can go over quickly again. It looks like, again, he's going to be power play 1. Definitely a great round 4 plus target in 12 team leagues. So right now, Justin Falk with Torrey Krug out for the entire season. There was some speculation about Perunovic going there. I don't even know if Perunovic is going to make the team, but Justin Falk has proved it in his career. He's 2 years removed from a 50-point season. He has very strong peripherals. We know that the St. Louis power play was really bad for the first half of the season, and then when Bannister came in, they were a lot better. So hopefully this is something to come for this season, but Falk has a very solid floor compared to the other defensemen outside of Dougie. So there's a lot of interest for me for Falk as my defenseman 3 and 4 in most drafts. Cam York, we suspect him to be power play 1, and that seems to be the case. It's not Jamie Drysdale right now. So York brings very good block volume, very good shot upside. He was playing over 24 minutes per night in the latter half of the season. So a lot to like from York. The only downside is this Philadelphia Flyers power play had one of the worst seasons, if not the worst season in NHL history on the power play last year. I think they were at about 5%. So there's a little bit of concern there, but hopefully with Michkov, I saw Morgan Frost is now on the top power play unit, who's a great playmaker. It should help this power play, and maybe they can get up to 10-12% this year, which should boost York's point production. Lastly, Brandon Montour here. They came out with the power play lines, and Montour is not skating with McCann, Eberle, and Bjorkstrand. It's going to be Dunn that's quarterbacking that power play unit. So they're going to be a power play 1A and a power play 1B. I'm seeing Montour go like round 6, round 7 right now is like defenseman 2 and 3 on some teams. I'm going to be completely avoiding him. Now, there's nothing against Montour. I loved what happened when he was in Florida, but you have to understand that the Florida offense and the Florida power play is a lot better than Seattle's, and it looks like this power play is going to be split just like we saw last season. So Montour is now seemingly going to be taking over the Justin Schultz role from last season. So I'm going to be avoiding. There's a little bit of concern for me here with Montour. Now that I saw that these power plays are pretty much completely split, but the better goal scorers are on Vince Dunn's power play. So I'm a little bit more interested in Dunn than I am with Montour right now. So we have a couple more defensemen, and then we'll jump into some of the forwards. So Jake Wallman seems to be on the top power play unit in San Jose. Don shouted this out on our Twitter a little bit ago, I think in preseason. And right now he seems to be skating on the top power play unit. Pretty good peripheral upside from Wallman. I just don't know how good the San Jose power play is going to be. A lot of it's going to be on Will Smith and the upside with Macklin Celebrini there. But in round 12 plus, definitely someone I would be targeting in plus minus leagues. He's probably going around 14 plus, but a great pick at the end of your drafts. With Mackenzie Weegar, it looks like he's going to be power play 1 in Calgary. There was some concern about him and potentially with Rasmus Anderson there playing power play 1. But right now it's Weegar, who we know has a really, really good second half last season. He's one of the best peripheral defensemen in the NHL. He has the upside to be a triple 200 player in the shots, blocks, and hits category. And now out of the power play 1, I think he's a great defenseman 2 target around 5 plus. Olin Zellweger is, if you watch Team Canada World Juniors, was extremely good for them. He seems to be power play 1, and we see Cutter Gauthier there now. Carlson's going to be there, Zegras, and Troy Terry. So this power play looks to be a little bit better this season, hopefully. Zellweger, we really have no clue what to expect, but I definitely don't mind the lottery ticket pick late in drafts for Zellweger. If you're desperate for a defenseman or a 5th defenseman on your bench, he's definitely a target for me. Now, jumping over to the forwards, you know my love for Peterka. I don't have to say it anymore, but he's extremely, extremely exciting going into the season. He's skating line 1 with Tuck and Thompson, and he's going to be playing on the left side. He's currently just right wing eligible, which means he should be getting left wing eligibility once the 10 game mark is up. And he's currently skated on the top power play unit, which is exactly what we thought going into the season. In the final 15 games of the year, Peterka was playing over 20 minutes per night and scored 7 goals. So a lot to love from Peterka, who had a hat trick his first preseason game, which hopefully does not have people on him as much as they should be. And I would be looking to draft him about round 9 plus right now. With Jack Quinn, he's currently skating line 2, power play 1. I thought Cousins was going to be there, but it looks to be Jack Quinn. Definitely an interesting top 6 guy in Buffalo. There's a lot to like from this team that should hopefully go back to where they were 2 years ago when that power play was like top 10 in the league and their offense was extremely explosive. I like Quinn quite a bit, definitely around 12 plus target. We're not even seeing him getting drafted in some competitive leagues right now. So a guy I definitely want to be taking a shot on at the end of my drafts. Lastly, for this list, Martin Necas is going to be power play 1. He was 2 years removed from a 70-point season, and he had a significant decline to minus 18 points last year and 13 less points on the power play last season. So hopefully with the power play 1 duties, where he had 26 power play points 2 years ago, he can go back to being that 70-point player. Definitely a big target for me and will be in a future video on this channel, but he is a interesting target in around 8+ with the center right wing eligibility and the very, very good Carolina Hurricanes team. So really no surprise, but I wanted to shout it out a little bit. Jonathan Drouin is skating line 1, power play 1 in Colorado. So he's with McKinnon and Rantanen and on that extremely, extremely good top power play unit. The only downside to Drouin, I think for his season, it's safe to project him for like 60 points, but the only issue is that his shots, blocks, and hits are way below league average, especially in contrast to some of the other forwards. So if you're in just goals and assist leagues, there's definitely a lot of priority for Drouin earlier, maybe around 9-10. But right now in just category leagues and 12-team leagues, definitely around 12+ target. For Timo Meier, he's currently skating line 1, power play 1 with Hughes and Bratt. Extremely excited about Meier this season. I think he has the upside to finish as potentially a top 20 to 15 player. And I would be looking to take him in round 3+. It's very rare you can get guys in the 3rd, 4th round. He's currently like ADP 60, but in competitive leagues, we're seeing him go about round 4, maybe late round 3 for Meier, and he has the upside to be a 300 shot, 150+ hit player. So a lot to like for Meier there. With Duclair, I don't fully know what to expect, but we know this Islanders power play was a lot better last season. He's currently skating first line with Barzal and Horvat, so those two are very, very good players. 60-point, a 70-point player in Horvat and Barzal. And then hopefully this top power play continues to be as good as they were last season. And I'd be looking to take him in around 12+ as a lottery ticket pick, maybe near the end of your drafts. We're not even seeing him get drafted right now, so this is a very interesting pick in Duclair. Morgan Frost right now skating with Michikov and Tippett on the second line, which could potentially be their first line. And he's on the top power play unit. And Frost, we know, is a very, very high point production player. About 2 shots per game, lacks the peripherals. His hit volume was not bad last season. I think he might have 50+ last year. But for Frost, strictly a points guy, but I like the upside playing with Tippett, who's a very high volume shooter. And then Michkov, who is a complete wild card this season, but there's a lot to like from the upside there. Lastly, Brian Rust looks to be skating line 1, power play 1 with the departure of Gensel and really no help on the wings. This has vastly improved Rust's upside going into the season, skating with Sidney Crosby and on the top power play unit that struggled a lot last season. But still, for Rust, he does possess a lot of injury history, but when he's healthy, he's around a 0.8, 0.9 per game player with decent shot volume. So I'd be looking to take a shot on him at around 10+. Lastly, guys, 5 more guys, and 4 of these guys on this list I'm very, very interested in. The first being Brandon Hagel, who's currently skating line 2 with Cirelli and Cam Atkinson, and he's on the top power play unit. Thank God Brandon Hagel's on the top power play unit. He's going to be in a future video on this channel. But with Hagel here, he was 8th best 5-on-5 points last year with 65. So hopefully now in the top power play unit, this can help elevate him to a point per game player. He's going about ADP 110 right now. So I'd be looking to take him in around 8+ with dual eligibility as left wing, right wing. And then the upside to potentially skate with Kucherov 5-on-5. We know Cooper likes to switch up the lines quite a bit as the season goes on. And Gensel does have some injury history as well. So Hagel's the next guy up on the top line with Point and Kucherov. And then he's also on that amazing top power play unit. Dylan Gunther could be easily a league winner this season. A lot to love from Gunther going into this season, who was very good last year. He's line 2 right now, and he is on the top power play unit. A guy I would want to be taking around 11+. He's going about round 13, so it depends on the competitiveness of your league, but a lot to like from Gunther this season. He has the upside to easily be a league winner. Andrew Mangiapane, someone I was on 2 years ago. I really, really liked him. He was the former OHL points leader. I think it was in Niagara, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But Mangiapane is a very interesting player that's going to be skating with Strome and Ovechkin on the top line. And he looks to be getting the power play 1 reps, which we never saw once in Calgary. So he has the upside to be a 50, 60-point player with decent shot volume. Hopefully, you know, in your 14+ team leagues, this is a guy you should be targeting later in your drafts. And hopefully he can sustain this role for the season. Now, two guys I love going into the season. You know, I'm really, really high on Gabriel Velarde, who I think has the upside to easily be a 30+ goal scorer, skating with Connor and Scheifele on the top line. Exactly what we thought. And he is confirmed on the top power play unit. So Velarde is a guy that could score 30+ goals. That's going very, very late in drafts. I would look to be taking him round 11+. And Nikolai Ehlers, the guy we've been waiting so long to break out. He finally was healthy for like 82 games last season. I think he played all 82. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But Ehlers is a very, very high upside player. And there's a lot to like from here where he's finally getting some power play 1 reps. So him being on the top power play, he's on the second line right now with Nemesnikov. There's a little bit of upside on the 5-on-5, but the power play is where I'm way more interested. And if I'm not mistaken, I've said this before, I don't think that Winnipeg Jets power play has been healthy for, I don't think that Jets power play was healthy, like all 5 of them, for one single game last year. So hopefully Ehlers in this top power play unit can help elevate his game. He's an elite shot volume guy, like a top 10 shot volume guy each and every season. So maybe better looks on this power play can really boost him to a 30+ goal scorer, a 60+ point player, and a 220+ shot player. And he's very, very interesting. In the last FPPL draft, he went about round 14. So I really like him there. I say round 11+ here, but it's all contingent on how the draft goes and how competitive your league is. But a lot to like from Ehlers and Velarde and Guenther and Hagel going into the season. That will do it for the injuries, power plays, the line changes video. This is a really, really important video to watch because it could really help you find guys A, on waivers, and B, very late in your draft for really, really good value. Let me know if I missed any injuries in the comment below. There's probably going to be injuries at the time of recording. This is going to be posted on Friday the 27th, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in tonight's preseason games. But these are most of the injuries I've gone through and have impact on players. So if you enjoyed the video, guys, make sure you leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.